A princess frantic on the streets of London, clutching her head in absolute panic. This wasn't just a bad day for Princess Beatrice. Behind closed doors, a massive family war had just been triggered. Her father, Prince Andrew, feels utterly betrayed by his own flesh and blood, and he has just issued a chilling warning that could tear down the entire royal hierarchy. The fairy tale facade is completely crumbling, and Beatrice is caught in the middle of a collapsing house of cards. Welcome back to the channel, where we strip away the public relations polish and analyze the high-stakes chess games played behind palace walls. Today, we are diving deep into the unraveling world of Princess Beatrice, exploring how a desperate bid for survival has turned her own bloodline into her most dangerous enemy. For 6 years, Beatrice and her husband, Edoardo Mapelli Mazzi, presented a flawless, united front to the high society world. But recently, the cracks in this elite marriage have begun widening so fast that even the palace's best damage control teams cannot hide the fallout. It all peaked when Beatrice was spotted running errands in central London, looking completely overwhelmed, her hand clamped tightly to her head, the visible breaking point of a princess under siege. Insiders whisper that the internal tension reached a boiling point when reports surfaced that Edoardo seemed increasingly distracted. His high-end real estate work and constant international travel were supposed to be a standard part of his billionaire lifestyle. But his absences began occurring at the worst possible moment, leaving Beatrice isolated during one of the most stressful periods of her life. When the media scrutiny intensified, Edoardo hit back with a rare, defensive statement, claiming it is completely normal for a business owner to travel for work. But that desperate attempt to calm the storm completely backfired. Just days later, he was spotted living it up entirely solo at a high-end club in St. Tropez, while his wife remained trapped in London, dealing with a massive family crisis. The optics were disastrous, leaving close friends wondering how much more pressure the princess could actually take. Yet, a fracturing marriage is only half the battle Beatrice is currently fighting. A far more dangerous conflict is erupting within her own bloodline, a calculated, cold-blooded decision that has triggered an all-out war. And little does Beatrice know, her father holds a devastating secret weapon that could permanently shatter the monarchy, a weapon he is now fully prepared to use. In royal circles, blood is rarely thicker than water when a reputation is on the line. Sources reveal that Beatrice and her sister, Eugenie, recently made a brutal, tactical decision to completely cast out their own father. In a desperate bid to save their own public standing, the sisters are actively keeping their distance, cutting Andrew off from their lives, and presenting a freezing cold shoulder to the world. For years, the York sisters stood fiercely by Andrew, defending him through wave after wave of intense public backlash and international scandals. But the weight of his reputation eventually became too heavy to carry. Beatrice came to a chilling realization. Staying loyal to her father meant sacrificing her own future, her husband's social standing, and her children's place in high society. To survive the modern royal landscape, she had to make an impossible choice. It was either blind family loyalty to Andrew or securing the vital good graces of King Charles and Prince William. By choosing the monarchy, the sisters sent a clear message to the palace. They are choosing the team of the future, effectively leaving their father exiled in the past. But turning your back on a desperate, exiled royal comes with an astronomical price tag. Andrew is reportedly absolutely reeling from the public rejection, trapped in his own reality and completely unable to comprehend how his own daughters could cast him aside so easily. He views this move as a literal knife to the back, and his sorrow is rapidly turning into a dangerous, boiling fury. Andrew is not the type to sit quietly in his mansion feeling sorry for himself. He has already convinced himself that he is the long-suffering father who has been deeply wronged, completely ignoring how his own actions created this disaster. Behind the scenes, he had been fiercely lobbying King Charles to protect his daughter's titles and financial security, making their sudden distance feel like the ultimate act of ingratitude. Now, the exiled prince has found the perfect scapegoat for this family disaster. Rumors indicate he is placing the blame entirely on his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, claiming she completely poisoned the girls' minds. He believes Sarah convinced Beatrice and Eugenie that their only hope for survival was to kiss up to the new regime.
Time has been incredibly difficult for Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, but they have their husbands to rely on, and there's been lots of pictures recently of Eugenie with her husband Jack in Notting Hill having coffee, and they seem closer than ever. However, I am hearing that Beatrice and Edo Mapelli-Mosey, her husband, are under strain. He's been travelling a lot with work to Florida, and she's remained in Oxfordshire with the children, and I have to say, I think their marriage is under strain, and that is what I'm hearing. I hope for the best for those two, but of course, going through something like this must be unbelievably difficult, especially for Beatrice, who had so much faith in her father and has apparently been blindsided by all of this, whereas I think Eugenie was a little bit more realistic and sort of knew what was happening to her parents. For some reason, Beatrice had the blinkers on and they've only just come off, and she's been left absolutely devastated. I also found it very interesting that at the height of the Epstein, Andrew, Sarah, Beatrice, Eugenie saga, and when the Epstein files were really gathering pace about a month ago, Edo went to Florida on an extended business trip, and he posted lots of pictures of himself there, and none of them were of Princess Beatrice, and he didn't cancel his trip or fly home in an emergency measure to be with his wife. And I, like a lot of people, have noticed that as sort of an unusual thing to do at the height of a crisis.
I was them. I would drop the princess part of my title.
Would you?
I think if you did that, then at least you're saying, I understand, and I understand where people are coming from. Because if you look at Princess Anne's children, they're not prince and princess.
Yeah, but she said she didn't want them to be.
I know
it's
that.
different. Andrew very much did want his daughters to be princesses, didn't he?
And as we know, that is, and I think that is part of the issue as well, is that the whole family are very much about, you know, what can we get from this kind of this royal carapace, if you like. And I think that therefore, if they really wanted to say, listen, we disapprove completely of everything on that side that our parents have done, we are no longer going to trade on the fact that we are princesses. Let's face it, everybody knows who they are anyway. And just say, there we are, and we're drawing a line on that. Maybe that would be helpful.
And you raised a good point about Zara Phillips. I know Zara Phillips was not raised as a princess, but she's the same level as Beatrice and Eugenie. Of course they are. I can't tell you the amount of times I've been out at a charity event with Zara Phillips and Mike Tyndall. They are salt of the earth normal. You wouldn't, if you didn't know that they were royals, you wouldn't know that she was a royal, Zara Phillips. Completely different attitude towards people and the way she reacts to people and the things that she expects when she walks in a room, completely different to Eugenie and Beatrice.
Very interesting.
Beatrice got pictured going to Windsor at the height of the worst part of the drama. She was pictured, very deliberately pictured, going to see her father, and I think he went for a ride and she walked alongside him or something like that. And I thought, wow, that's a bit of a bold move, because really it couldn't get worse for your father right now. I wouldn't be pictured next to him on a horse if I were you.
Meanwhile, one can only assume that none of this is accidental, that actually, you know, these aren't, you know, happenstances, that actually there's definitely a narrative going on.
Oh yeah, when she went to visit him that time, she knew she'd be pictured, and they're very conscious of visiting him or not visiting him, or pushing out the narrative. For example, Eugenie's sources or friends around her are very keen to push out the narrative that she completely cut off contact with her father before Christmas, and I think they've spoken once or twice since. But you won't find any of Eugenie's friends saying no, she still loves her father.